Brett James, the renowned Grammy-winning songwriter whose pen crafted some of the most enduring hits in country music, has left an indelible void in the hearts of fans, fellow artists, and the entire Nashville music scene following his untimely death at the age of 57. Known for his masterful ability to weave raw emotion into melodies that resonated with millions, James was not just a writer but a storyteller whose words captured the essence of love, loss, redemption, and the unyielding spirit of the American heartland. His passing came in a heartbreaking manner, a small-engine plane crash in the rugged terrain of Macon County, near the quaint town of Franklin, North Carolina. The incident unfolded around mid-afternoon, turning what should have been a routine flight into a catastrophic tragedy that claimed the lives of all 3 souls aboard. The aircraft, a modest single-engine model registered under James's own name from his home base in Brentwood, Tennessee, plummeted from the sky, leaving investigators from the Federal Aviation Administration scrambling to piece together the sequence of events. Eyewitness accounts described a serene blue sky marred suddenly by the roar of an engine in distress, followed by a plume of smoke rising from the densely wooded crash site. Rescue teams, battling the challenging topography of the North Carolina mountains, arrived swiftly but could only confirm the devastating outcome: no survivors. James's death sent shockwaves through the music world, prompting an outpouring of grief that underscored his profound impact. Tributes flooded social media platforms almost immediately, with the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame issuing a poignant statement that encapsulated the collective sorrow. "We mourn the untimely loss of Hall of Fame member Brett James, a 2020 inductee who was killed in a small-engine airplane crash," the organization lamented, highlighting his iconic contributions such as "Jesus Take the Wheel" and "When the Sun Goes Down." These weren't mere songs, they were anthems that propelled careers and touched souls. "Jesus Take the Wheel," co-written for Carrie Underwood, wasn't just a chart topper, it was a cultural phenomenon that earned James his sole Grammy Award for Best Country Song, along with accolades from the Academy of Country Music for Single of the Year, ASCAP for Country Song of the Year, and the Nashville Songwriters Association International for Song of the Year. To think that a single track could garner such universal acclaim speaks volumes about James's innate talent for distilling complex human experiences into simple, profound lyrics. Reflecting on his journey, James's path to stardom was anything but conventional. Born Brett James Cornelius, he initially set his sights on a career in medicine, enrolling in medical school with the steady ambition of becoming a healer in the traditional sense. Yet the pull of music proved irresistible. The strum of a guitar, the whisper of a melody in the quiet hours, these were the calls that drew him away from stethoscopes and textbooks toward the vibrant chaos of Nashville's Music Row. It was a bold leap, one that could have ended in obscurity for many, but for James, it ignited a fire that burned brightly for decades. In those early days he honed his craft writing for some of country's biggest luminaries: Billy Ray Cyrus, whose twangy ballads James helped shape; Kenny Chesney, the beach-loving troubadour whose sun-soaked narratives benefited from James's evocative touch; and Martina McBride, the powerhouse vocalist whose soaring voice found perfect harmony in his words. His breakthrough moment arrived in 2001 with "Who I Am," a poignant Jessica Andrews single that rocketed to the top of the charts, marking his first #1 and signaling to the industry that a new force had arrived. Over the years, James amassed an astonishing catalog: more than 300 major label cuts, each a testament to his versatility and depth. He wasn't confined to one style. His songs spanned the spectrum of country, from heartbreakers that made listeners weep into their whiskey to uplifting choruses that had crowds belting along at rodeos and radio waves alike. His Grammy win was a pinnacle, but the nominations that preceded and followed it painted a fuller picture of his excellence. Twice named ASCAP Country Songwriter of the Year, in 2006 and 2010, James was recognized not just for commercial success but for the artistry that elevated the genre. Peers often spoke of his humility, how he'd sit in a dimly lit studio, scribbling lyrics on napkins, always more interested in the story than the spotlight. Brett had this gift for making you feel seen, one collaborator once shared in an interview, a sentiment echoed across countless tributes in the wake of his passing. His induction into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2020 was a crowning achievement, a formal acknowledgement of a career built on quiet brilliance. That same year, James stepped back into the artist chair himself, releasing I Am Now, his first self-penned collection in over 2 decades. It was a bold return, raw and introspective, showcasing the evolution of a man who had spent years crafting hits for others. Tracks like these revealed layers of James beyond the hitmaker: the father, the adventurer, the philosopher who pondered life's big questions through verse. Fans who streamed it in droves praised its authenticity, with one reviewer noting, "It's like hearing the soul of Nashville distilled into one album." James's personal life mirrored this groundedness. Based in Brentwood, he was a devoted family man, often crediting his loved ones as his greatest muses. Stories abound of family jam sessions in the living room, where ideas for songs bubbled up over homemade meals, blending domestic bliss with creative spark. The plane crash investigation continues, with preliminary reports suggesting mechanical failure as a possible culprit, though the dense forest has complicated recovery efforts. As authorities comb through wreckage for answers, the music community rallies in remembrance. Concerts have dedicated sets to his songs, radio stations air marathons of his greatest hits, and artists from Underwood to Chesney share personal anecdotes of mentorship and friendship. Carrie Underwood, whose career James helped launch, posted a heartfelt message, "Brett, you took the wheel for so many of us. Your songs will live forever." It's a fitting eulogy for a man whose legacy isn't measured in years but in the echoes of choruses sung around campfires and in sold-out arenas. Yet, James's influence extends far beyond the stage. He was a mentor to emerging songwriters, often hosting workshops where he'd emphasize the power of vulnerability in lyrics. "Write what scares you," he'd advise, his voice steady and encouraging. This philosophy permeated his work, making his songs timeless bridges between artist and audience. In an industry often criticized for chasing trends, James stood as a beacon of substance,